Thank you, Russ.
Yes, thank you so much.
I didn't bring any snacks.
I might have the vegetables and only starters that I really.
Because you don't ever do. Dave, don't sit down. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to study session. It is Tuesday, June the 13th, and I'll call the study session to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now you can sit down, Dave. Go
Thank
ahead.
you.
I didn't want you to sit down and then stand back up, so.
I wanted you to make him do that.
Oh, yeah, but see,
Enough exercise today.
the record should reflect that I'm just nicer than you.
That's a given.
That's a given, yeah.
Changes to the agenda.
No changes,
Okay. Communications for the study session.
no communications.
Okay. We are going to, the next item is an executive session for the performance of a public employee. It is that time of the year where the school board will be going into several executive sessions over the next several weeks as we conduct our year-end evaluation of Dr. Finch. So this is the first of those sessions, and it is 6:03, and we will go into executive session for approximately 50 minutes, and we will come out not 50 minutes or 55 minutes to 6:55. So we will go into executive session and come out of executive session taking no action, and then we will go into the regular school board meeting at 7 o'clock. So we will go into executive session now.
You gotta take it back.
Have you read this already? Yeah, it's good. It's got pictures.
Ready? Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the school board meeting. It is Tuesday, June 13th, 7 o'clock. We're happy to be here at the Innovation Center. I'll call the regular school board meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance, and the flag is to the northwest. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just for the record, Mr. Strong is on Dr. Finch's cell phone, and he is present by telephone this evening. Changes to the agenda.
We're going to add number 13, executive session, performance of a school employee, and we'll move adjournment to number 14.
Communications.
Response to public comment is placeholder, so there's no response tonight. Staff retirement recognition. Beth Poston, teacher at Mountain View, let me know that she was not able to attend this evening, and so I gave her her plaque in front of her students at Mountain View, so that was nice. Next, we have WASA Student Leadership Award. So we had an awards night that WASA, the Washington Association of School Administrators, held on May 4th. And at that award night, we had, from our Innovation Center, Andrew Modine was recognized. So Andrew, why don't you come on up and I'll say some nice things about you. So first of all, Andrew, you get a nice certificate, and here's another program from the awards night. So we'll give you that to you.
Thank you.
And for the nomination, here's what I wrote for Andrew. It says, Andrew is a 9th grade student at the West Valley Innovation Center. I guess it's past tense now since school's out. So he was 9th grade this past year. Students at the Innovation Center are grouped into multi-age cohorts. Andrew was part of the computer science cohort with students who were in grades 7, 8, and 9. Recently, superintendents from the ESD 105 region visited the Innovation Center. ESD 105 runs from Ellensburg all the way to the Oregon border. We heard younger students talk about the strength of the cohort model. The younger students said that the older students helped them in class. A great example of this is Andrew Modine. The computer science cohort has 2 classrooms that are adjacent. One classroom is in the computer lab, and the other classroom is a space for project-based learning. It seems like Andrew is always in the project-based learning classroom helping his classmates. I've seen Andrew help students take apart a Chromebook and put it back together. He's always helping his classmates. In addition, Andrew was a part of a team of students who won the Congressional App Challenge last year when the school had just opened. Andrew exhibits student leadership on a daily basis. I'm looking forward to a bright future ahead as Andrew continues his leadership at the West Valley Innovation Center. And my understanding is he's part of our presentation tonight as well. So thank you, Andrew, and congratulations.
Thank
you for coming.
Congratulations.
All right, next we have the WASA Community Leadership Award. And this year that went to Pexco Aerospace. We invited John Page, president of Pexco, Andrew Norman, human resources director from Pexco, and Jason Brown, operations manager. So if any of them are here this evening, come on down. There you go, let's give them a hand.
Thank you for coming.
And WASA has a nice plaque for them. And if you'll stay up here, I'll say some nice words about you here as we get to show off your plaque there. So Pexco Aerospace, since 2017, West Valley School District has partnered with Pexco Aerospace to provide registered apprenticeship placements. West Valley students earn high school credits, college credits, and an hourly wage for on-the-job training. PEXCO is located near the Yakima Airport and is a contractor for many large aerospace companies, including Boeing. PEXCO has been a great partner and is always willing to assist our students. We are grateful for this partnership and look forward to continuing the partnership in the future. So thank you for attending this evening, and thank you for the partnership.
You bet.
And finally, for communications, we included in the board packet for all to see the audit report from the Washington State Auditor's Office. We had an outstanding audit with no findings, no recommendations whatsoever. And this is also including over $3 million in the emergency relief federal money, the ESSER funds. We know that many of our neighboring districts had some findings. So really outstanding work by our whole finance department, and that's led by Assistant Superintendent Joe Conley and our Director of Finance, Sheila Wood. So congratulations on a great audit. We should give them a hand.
Yes. On to item 6, school presentation. As I mentioned, we're happy to be here at the Innovation Center. And I'd like to introduce the director of the Innovation Center, Mr. Russ Tooman.
Look here.
Are these, it's on? Okay. Thank you all for being here. It's kind of a long time coming. You can see we went through some construction, so we weren't really able to hold a board meeting here last year. So excited to be able to do it right now this year. So I'm going to make my portion of it kind of quick. I have a couple students from the Innovation Center who are here on their first night of summer to present for you guys. So I'm thrilled that we got them here. So, and I'm excited to have them here. So just a couple things to review. First of all, year 2, looking forward to year 3, although I'd like some summer in between there. But I can't express my gratitude towards the school board and West Valley School District enough so it's your support has made this possible. So looking forward to continued support, but as you look around here today, that wouldn't happen without what you guys have been willing to commit to. So thank you very much. So just kind of some highlights. We started our 4th pathway here at the Innovation Center this year. So it's our ag robotics pathway. And got that going off the ground great this year. We had a little bit low numbers for students for that, but I'll get back to that in a minute. We still have our 3 pathways in grades 10 through 12. So we have computer science, and you're going to have some students from computer science 7-9 talk tonight. STEM engineering, and then the 10-12 health science. We weathered all of the delays in our construction in our STEM engineering classrooms is completed now, and we're fully in those rooms. So there will be a tour after the school board meeting tonight if you would like to be part of that. I can show off those rooms for you. And then just recently we graduated our first class of seniors, in-person seniors. We graduated 5 seniors. It was very exciting. And then we also had in person 5 other graduates from our online academy. We had more graduates from our virtual academy than that, but we had 5 here in person. That was a really fun night. And also with the start of this school year, we were able to have the creation of our entrepreneurship class. Mr. Liebrick was here to teach that class for us. We were fortunate enough to get him here, and he's done a great job helping us reach those social studies and ELA standards that we know we need to get with our kids. And you're going to hear from our students a little bit more about that in a minute. Coming into this next year, we were able to hire a science math teacher that will also work with our pathway designers and with students to help our students who are in those math and science classes. We know when we opened up as a high school this year, and we've noticed that we're having a need to address those higher level math needs for our students that are on that college track. And so we're going to really be able to address that need this year. I'm very excited about that. And then we have finalized our registration for the most part for next year. So we're sitting at, and we're still not a big school. We have 214 students in our program for next year, which puts us at capacity, which was the goal. So very excited about that. And so with those are kind of the high points we have going on here, but I would also like for Justin and Connor to come talk about what they are doing in their classes. So come on up, guys.
Hello, my name is Connor Mansfield. I'm heading into 10th grade next year in the CSIT program. We earn standards through something called mastery-based learning, or MBL. We use these standards to help us meet graduation requirements so we can be college or career ready. In our core pathway, we also have other subjects incorporated, such as ELA, math, and science. Here's an example of an assignment we have done. It's on technical writing, so we can write more concisely. Then we had an assignment that had an option of 2 different case studies for customer service. We had to create a claim and support this claim and create relationships with the claim.
You just took a trimester of language arts
Then-
right there.
We had to write a blog. We were given a workbook for this. There was a graphic organizer to help us through this. I went over the benefits of it, how to write it. It also covered the different types of blogs. The purpose of a blogging and like your audience. And then we were also given another graphic organizer. There was also ELA standards covered in this, and it is important to know how to blog in our like evolving field and stuff.
Hello, my name is Justin Wasley, and I'm going to be part of the 10th grade CSIT program next year. So, in this assignment, we had to build and design a future city. And in this assignment, there are several subject areas covered, like math, ELA, art, and geography. Examples of this would be making equations to scale the city, ELA to plan and write out the city, geography for locating each part of the city, and then art for designing. And so with all this embedded standards, it helps with college readiness and to help you better for a career.
Good job.
In this next assignment, we had to choose a topic to make an instruction manual. And in this, there are several ELA standards, such as how to format it properly, the introduction, research, and the overall grammar of it. Then in this last assignment, it was an essay based on open source and closed source applications. Now in this, there are several embedded ELA standards that go up to a 3. And 3 shows if you master the standard, and 2 is partially there, and 1 means you didn't meet it. And so the benefits to these standards would be to target a specific standard and then master it. Do you have any further questions?
These assignments here, how many weeks of work do you have here?
So it varies very dependent on the assignment. So like this one took about 2 months along with other assignments, of course.
Exactly.
But some of these could take up to a week or a day if it's really short. So I have.
So for all three of you, you're hopefully going to graduate through the Innovation Center. What do you want to do after high school? What I mean, and I'm putting you on the spot, as sophomores, but what are you hoping to do after you leave the Innovation Center?
Me personally, I plan on working on video games once I graduate.
Cool.
Awesome.
Personally, for me, I just hope I could get a career into the CS and IT field. I'm not sure what I want to choose yet, but just something in the field.
I haven't quite thought this through. I don't know entirely sure.
That's a fair answer.
But I do want to get as many standards done. I want to learn as much possible so that I'm ready to go into whatever I want to in the future.
Great.
Well, I'd like to thank you, three gentlemen. And what I heard and saw in your examples on the first report was a good trimester or semester anyway of language arts that was worked on. And I also, in the second gentleman's talk, was technical writing and those kind of things. It took me 3/4 of college to get through that stuff. So that's very impressive. I want to congratulate you and thank you very much.
So you shared about the English language arts integrated into the computer science. Could you also share a little bit about computer science, and were there any of the Microsoft certifications that you worked on this year or last year, and any of that type of work? Oh, Andrew to the rescue.
He wasn't going to be up here.
Would you mind restating the question?
Oh, well, just can you share a little bit about the computer science work that you've done in the computer science pathway?
Okay. Where do I start? Oh, thank you, Mom. All right. So there are a lot of certifications that you can get that look really good on a resume. Like a lot of the stuff with Microsoft Office. A lot of those Microsoft Office products, there are good certifications for, and they look great and they can really help you get a good job. And so this year I got, I think, 5. I got 5 of those certifications, all for free through the school. So yeah.
Can you share which
about the jobs there?
Audience help.
Thank you, Mr. Liebrick. Okay, so one more thing with the certifications. I used a lot in data management and not much else. And so me, Connor, Justin, and then one of our other classmates, we are the only 4 people probably in the city that have the certification. So it's a badge of honor. And then Mr. Liebrick threw out a cybersecurity competition that we participated in earlier this year. And there was quite the learning experience for that. We learned a lot about how to properly implement some security stuff in a variety of systems. And so that was a great learning experience, and we're hoping to do it next year and actually win.
Very good.
Can you each share why the IC is a better fit for you than traditional classrooms?
Go ahead, Connor.
The Innovation Center is a better fit for me because it helps me target my learning more on computer science than a regular school could.
I feel like the Innovation Center has helped a lot with the general learning because I am able to do more with my academic career, I guess I could say. I can not only do my grade level standards, but I could also go above and beyond that, which can help me finish up my high school requirements to then get into college credits and be prepared. That's the main reason I like it.
Yeah, I'm out of lots of words though. So the Innovation Center, I feel like I don't have to spend like 2 hours a day on, oh, wait, never mind. Lost of words again. I know, surprising. Oh, thanks, Cody. Yeah, so instead of having to spend 6 hours a day, 1 hour split into 6 periods on just like a bunch of topics, I can get basically the exact same amount of work done between 3 different classes, split evenly throughout the day, that are more useful. Any more questions?
Oh, I love it.
I think that IC is a better fit just because it focuses more on the actual career side of school instead of just, of course, the academic stuff is important, but if you want to get an early start, the career part is better.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Watch out for those guys. Any other questions for me?
I don't think so. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I see a lot of proud parents and educators from the Innovation Center here tonight, beaming with pride, and it's really neat to have the students come share their experience with us. Thank you very much. Okay. On to item 7, public comment period. This is the time for members of the public. Ms. Smith is going to hand me the list of people that have signed up to speak during the public comment period. As is our usual custom, this is the public comment period. Members of the public can address the board on any topic they would like. It is a comment period. It is not a dialogue period. And so the board will not be responding to the comments at this meeting, but Dr. Finch is taking notes and will respond appropriately at the next meeting. So I'll just go through the list. Rebecca Olden is first.
Sorry, I'll put my papers. I'm Rebecca Olden. I teach at the high school. On May 23rd, 2 teachers, you see them up front, presented their case to the board with a simple request to renew their teaching contracts. There appeared to be some confusion at that meeting by you, the board, and by members of the community who were sitting in the audience. These teachers had resigned, so why were they asking to be renewed? From the comments made briefly by the board, I think many of us assumed that there would have been some discussion and a vote to renew their contracts, and I believe that a discussion would have truly cleared up most of what was going on. But there was no discussion. You rejected the resignation, and it defaulted back to a non-renewal. They weren't begging you to reject the resignation. They were making a plea to consider their case and renew them. But luckily, you, the board, still have the power to override the non-renewal, to let these teachers have a chance to continue to do their jobs. As I said before, if they did something wrong, why didn't anyone tell them? If they were lousy teachers, why wasn't that reflected in their evaluations? Because at the end of the day, they didn't do anything wrong, and they are wonderful teachers. You know now, and you knew then, that they had not really chosen to leave. Their contracts were non-renewed, and they were pushed to resign instead. By resigning, the district was not obligated to give any reason for their non-renewal. These teachers had no answers regarding what happened. Their evaluations and feedback from their administrator was positive, and they were never notified of any concerns or issues regarding the contract or district policy. It has been made abundantly clear that the only issue these 2 teachers presented for the district was that they pushed back against a lack of realistic and safe discipline. They pointed out something that we as a district are failing at. Rather than silently taking abuse from their students on a daily basis, which included having Chromebooks thrown at them, being sworn at, breaking up physical altercations, and having students intentionally and maliciously ruin the learning environment for their peers, These teachers spoke up. They asked for help. They questioned what was done, and at times, why nothing was done. They asked for more. They asked for accountability. Isn't that what you want from all of us as educators? At the top of our board meeting agenda, you state that the mission of West Valley School District, a vital partner of proud and caring community, is to ensure that all students achieve the highest level of knowledge, skills, and attitudes necessary to be responsible and productive citizens, effective communicators, creative problem solvers, and lifelong learners. Through mutual support and the combined efforts of our families, schools, and community, we will provide a safe, high-quality learning environment in which each student experiences success every day. That's on every board meeting agenda. That's exactly what they were doing. The behaviors of their explosive students are not a reflection of their teaching, but rather of a broken system. And yet somehow it's their fault that the students acted out. I'm sworn at daily. I've had my life threatened. I've had a student attempt to hit me, only to be stopped because another student stepped in his way. I've been called names. I've never had something thrown at me, but it's not really that far off. The difference between me and them is that I don't have the guts to stand up and say enough is enough. Most of us don't, because we fear retaliation in the district. We've seen it time and time again. It's sad to go to work every day and know that the mentality taken by many of us is that we just need to suck it up, that maybe next year will be better, the kids will be easier. It's our job to provide a safe, high-quality learning environment. But when we are told that we cannot remove students who throw items at us, when we are told that students who beat the you-know-what out of another classmate aren't allowed to face any formal repercussions and can continue to attend school in which we are attempting to create a safe, high-quality learning environment, when students are told that they won't get in trouble because, well, we can't tell who started the fight, we are proving that we care more about the violent, disruptive students than anyone else. They are more important than the children who are kind and want to learn. They're more important than the students who just presented at the beginning of this meeting. They are more important than the students who are targeted by their hateful comments and their violence on a daily basis and who fear speaking up because violence is clearly tolerated in our schools. And they're more important than the staff members who are physically and verbally assaulted by them. I don't know how we can claim to be proud of this district when that is what it's like in many of our classrooms. We aren't correcting behaviors, we are dismissing them, ignoring, telling teachers to keep quiet, deal with it, or get fired. As I said, and as they clearly explained a few weeks ago, you already know the nightmare that these two teachers dealt with every single day. And honestly, if I were them, I probably would have quit. But amazingly, they still want to work here. Frankly, I don't know why they would want to work somewhere that did not support them every time they reached out for help. But they believe they can make a difference, and I believe they can too. And it is shameful to non-renew them. To fall back on the, well, we don't have to renew provisional teachers because that's what the law says. It has to be the most unprofessional way of dealing with something that I've ever heard in my entire life. Technically, the district is allowed to do that. Is that what you want our proud, caring district to be known for? That when two teachers ask for help, that you not renew them? I implore you to take a step back and really look at what we are doing right now. It's bigger than these two teachers, and I think you all know that as well. The right thing to do tonight is to renew their contracts. They did not fail as teachers or suffer from subpar classroom management. They went above and beyond to try and create and maintain a safe learning environment despite the behaviors of their students. All they wanted was for students to be held accountable for their actions. We should all want that. Our mission statement, the one at the top of the agenda, says that we as a community are working daily to shape responsible and productive citizens, effective communicators, creative problem solvers, and lifelong learners. By neglecting to hold students accountable, by tolerating hateful language and violent behavior, we are not shaping responsible and productive citizens. We are ignoring a problem. Everyone should have an issue with that, and it shouldn't have taken these two teachers unknowingly putting their jobs on the line for a change to happen. But if you can't, for whatever ill-informed reason, renew their contracts, let them resign with grace. A non-renewal is unfounded and shameful, and I want to be able to return to work in the fall and not be ashamed of the district that I work for and that my child and my nieces attend. Thank you.
Caesar Ortiz.
Board, Superintendent. I'm the husband of Melissa Ortiz here. I have a kiddo who goes to Summit View Elementary. We reside in Sela, but yet again, we chose to send our daughter to your district. I have 8 talking points that I'm going to go over, nothing new. Honestly, this has been presented to you guys in a 55, 60 plus page document. But to me, it's very vital that I go over these. I'll start with professionalism. Confidentiality has been broken on many occasions. I know there's policy that speaks to confidentiality. Blaming teachers for behavior of students. Like, has anyone talked to the students? Has anyone talked to the families in those classrooms? Has anyone made contact to see what is real and what is not? That would have been my first step. Comments about teachers, students, discipline are made in public spaces. Again, I'm sure there's policy around that. This is the opposite of what professionalism is and should be. Now, item 2, behavior concerns. And I have heard of the many behaviors that these two strong teachers have tried really hard to take care of and ask for support. They were always met with, how do you want me to take care of this? As an administrator, one should know student plans. One should know interventions put in place to support those plans. One should know what progressive discipline is and looks like, and more so if you are a PBIS district. Now let's talk about communication. What should that look like? Communication should go to teachers when behaviors happen, families so they understand what students are going through. If you want change, you are building relationships with families. We want them to be a part of the change. Now, there's been a lack of communication to many parents and families about many behaviors, and it's sad. It's sad to know that. I'm sure that's a part of one of the reasons why change has not happened. Now, item 3, false promises claims. Now, apparently there was a plan put in place back in November with, looks like Assistant Superintendent Stacy Drake, that apparently was to address concerns continued, and honestly, it just got worse. Yet, what does follow through look like? Is there data to support changes? What's the effectiveness of interventions put in place? Yeah, I don't have the answers to those communications, but my hope is that if they're taking it seriously, if you are taking it seriously, there are plans in place, right? Where's the tier procedure to support behaviors? What does tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 look like? Now, trust and mutual respect lost between teacher and students. Educators know that the bedrock of their classroom, for them to have an environment of respect and rapport, is to build relationships with those students, to know who they are, to spend time knowing about them. These two teachers have done so much work to building those relationships. They have lost their power now. When they are being blamed for all the behaviors that are happening, parents are getting notified that it is their fault that kids act this way. There's no more power left. So now you have teachers trying to teach curriculum without relationships. Now, teachers work hard, like I said, to build an environment. The last thing that should be happening is your administration working against the hard work that every School Valley West teacher puts in. Investigations. Item 6, investigations made and lack of information. Teachers turn in over 60 pages of information, possibly more. Yet they are met with a 1-page letter and 5 sentences as to why they are not renewed. That is not a report. That does not show me an investigation. Teachers filed grievances too that were legitimate. Yeah, they were only met after teachers contacted HR about them and asked to meet. It took them stepping out of their way to meet. The same day the meeting was had with the assistant superintendent and HR was the same day he investigated and only talked to one person. Yet other sources, many were named. This tarnishes the credibility and image of both teachers. Is this a procedure put in place with every investigation? Are teachers or anyone who files a grievance, should they be concerned if this is how they're handled? Now, something that touches me dearly, and my wife knows this, I care about kids, and kids always come first. But when my family is being impacted this hard and this much, to the point where I have to come here and talk to the school board, it's frustrating and it's sad. Melissa and her colleague feared for their safety as they have dealt with many unsafe situations, intimidating comments, provided little support, and made to feel like everything was their fault. Families were told it was their fault. There are 60 plus pages, like I said, of evidence to the contrary. They have cried, dealt with anxiety, stress, only to made go through a process that is completely unnecessary. We landed, this is something personal, in an emergency room yesterday for possible ulcers from what is going on. That is unacceptable. Our district, this district, and families deserve, students and staff deserve it. We deserve better. I know, board, and I want to thank you for being a part of this. I'm sorry, honestly, for wasting your time. We should all be at home with our families right now. Nothing was vetted correctly. The agenda on the item was not vetted correctly. The item on the agenda, sorry. There is no fact-based information to support today's actions. Employees who have been with you, who are provisional, or just an employee in the West Valley School District should be treated better than what Melissa and Crystal have been treated. I know here the last commenter commented on your mission statement, and it's very clear there. I believe not every student has experienced success every day. All students are being affected, many students, by all the actions and items that are happening within those two classrooms and at Summit View. Those who need supports, behavioral in any way, need to get them adequately. Those who do not are getting robbed of high quality learning. The mission and promise has not been kept for students, families, and staff of Summit View Elementary. And my hope is that as a mission statement, it is believed and it is kept as a promise, as a mission, as to why we show up every day, why we do what we do. Thank you, board.
Thank you. Melissa Ortiz. That's fine.
Yes, good evening, Superintendent and board members. I'm Greg Gillespie, and I'm here to talk about the situation regarding Melissa and Crystal and the proposed action to non-renew them. Just to provide some context, I'm Melissa's father, and I'm also a recently retired community college chancellor, having started out as a faculty member and working my way through various administrative positions to leadership in concert with the Board of Trustees. I have extensive experience working to meet the mission and goals of an educational organization, working with personnel and other operational matters, and working with board members to balance those actions regarding policy and operations. You know, within K-12 education, higher education, we have organizations that are doing great things. But like any organization I've been a part of, we have great things and we have things we can improve on. And you have an opportunity to improve on a situation here. And I really want to speak today because I find the current situation confusing and very unfortunate for all parties, especially the students. And I believe there's a better, more productive path forward. These two teachers are experienced and well regarded by their colleagues, by students, and by families. There's more students that would give these two teachers hugs and say, "You're one of the best teachers I've had," than students that would complain about them. And some of those are the ones that cause the behavioral issues because they all know these two teachers care about them. Suddenly, they were informed that their contracts are not being renewed without explanation. I understand that according to the current RCW, the principal can non-renew provisional employees without explanation, particularly if you get them to resign. Putting aside the oddity of that law, doing what you have a right to do and doing the right thing is not always the same. We do need to exercise judgment, look at all of the information, make the best decision, because lives are impacted by them. What I find so perplexing is the lack of due diligence in getting to the facts of this situation in order to make reasonable, evidence-based decisions. Even if you do not have to have an investigation to carry out this important decision, why don't you want to? I mean, it just makes sense. We're about trying to improve. How do we serve our students, our community in the best way possible? The proposed action of non-renewal impacts the current and future employment of these teachers and the morale of the West Valley staff at large. Understanding the facts and getting to the truth matters for student success and employee retention. If these students are non-renewed, this will be the second year in a row where all 3 fifth grade teachers at Summit View Elementary have left. How's that good for students? What are the students doing wrong or the teachers doing wrong? I don't think they're doing anything wrong, but the teachers are leaving. How can we retain students for the benefit of our district? I urge you to consider the following. There are strong concerns both on the part of the teachers and on the part of the principal. The teachers are very concerned about the safety of the staff and students and disruptions by some students that interfere with the learning environment for all. They have reached out to the principal for support and feel they have been rebuffed and thwarted in addressing these issues. Until notification of non-renewal, the only feedback these teachers were given were positive evaluations as recent as March 10th regarding their teaching, their working with staff, and their working with the administration. Proficient evaluations, positive comments. All we know about the principal's concerns is that the teachers are not a good fit without definition of what that means and how the conclusion was reached. No concerns were cited in evaluations, no improvement plans outlined, no issues whatever were brought up with the teachers until suddenly they were told their contracts would not be renewed. To me, this looks like retribution for asking for support. I don't know what other word to use at this point. The teachers tried to enter into a dialogue with the principal and requested to work with her to problem solve the situation. They were rebuffed in their attempts to deal with dangerous and difficult situations, were met with non-renewal of their contracts. This impacts not only these teachers, but the employment environment at large. Dialogue from everyone is squashed if employees, provisional or otherwise, must keep their heads down, don't ask for anything, don't make the principal uncomfortable. Where is the professionalism, the leadership and accountability and decision-making that we need to hold administrators to? I don't really understand that. Is that really the environment you want to support in this district? I know that effective leaders create conditions for employees to be successful, communicate immediately their concerns, and work constructively to resolve issues energetically and collaboratively. I don't see that this has happened here. That hurts the student, their families, and the community, and it's unfair to employees. How are Melissa or Crystal going to improve on anything if they're not told, here's what you're doing wrong, I need you to change and do this, and I expect it to happen by 2 weeks from now? That didn't occur. You know, you've had time in closed session, I'm sure, around this issue, and maybe there's more to this matter than what has been revealed, but that is not apparent in any contemporaneous documentation, nor according to the testimonies of staff, students, or families that have taken risks to come forward. Melissa and Crystal have found out what happens if you question the status quo of the entrenched system at their school. They could have taken the path of least resistance and just resigned. Maybe Melissa wouldn't have had the ulcer emergency. But, you know, I'm proud of them for speaking up, taking the path that supports improvement for students. Those are the kind of employees I'd value. At this point, for the good of the district, I believe that the most sensible thing is to just stop. Find out what is really happening and put improvement plans in place as needed. Using the RCW to boot out provisional teachers with no explanation is your right, but it's not the right thing to do. Dr. Finch, you can take the leadership action to make this stop now simply by removing this non-renewal action item from the agenda. Maintain the employment of 2 dedicated and effective teachers. The board doesn't even have to consider this item. And again, that's just a thought on a different path forward. Should the board members need to take action on this item, please consider this issue and vote no on the non-renewal. Renew the contracts of these teachers for the coming year and ensure that a process is put in place to address the issues that came up in this case and that will eventually, inevitably arise elsewhere as time goes on and new circumstances continue to occur. But that can happen without a vote. If the items are removed, those things can happen through the leadership of Dr. Finch. Do not allow the termination of teachers who simply expressed a request to be supported. Your no vote will return the focus of the school's administration and the leadership of the board on what is in the best interest of students, their families, and the public. Thank you, board members, for your attention and considering this topic.
Okay, does Melissa Ortiz want to speak now?
What do they do together, girl?
Maybe start. Okay. We have something we were going to read together, but with some of the other things that have been shared, it wasn't, I don't think, either of our intentions to share with students what had happened, but as word spreads in the 5th grade, there started to be, you got fired, you're fired. And so I tried the best to handle that with a professional teacher response and, say, no, we're kind of going through a process and why are you fired? And after enough days, and my students know me well, some in particular could tell I was not my normal self. There was a morning at home that I woke up and I just was like, I was sobbing. I just couldn't even function. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to go to work today because I can't pull it together. So I put on my baseball cap and I put on my glasses and I went to school and my students were like, what is wrong? What is wrong? Like, what is wrong with you? And I just said, just having an off day, but like, it's fine. And that, went on for a couple days. And then finally I said the truth. And I said to the ones that were there asking, and I said, Mrs. Luss doesn't want me to come back because that's the truth. And my students were shocked and what? And had a lot of positive things to say to make me feel better, which was sad and very nice. But one of my students ended up writing a letter to Mrs. Lust that I'm going to read. She said, "Dear Mrs. Lust, this is Elena Perry," which she knows that I was going to read it and the name and all of that, and mom knows. "Dear Mrs. Lust, this is Elena Perry, 5th grade student in Mrs. Ortiz's class. I would like to say a couple of things. Mrs. Ortiz is an awesome teacher, the best one I could ask for, in fact. If there's one thing I regret is not listening to Mrs. Ortiz enough and for not making her year better than it should be. Our class was very disrespectful that we took time out of the moments we should have been learning. Mrs. Ortiz should stay at this school because the 4th graders will be some of the most lucky kids in the world." Mrs. Ortiz can only do so much. She is just one teacher, and there are 27 of us. Half, of course, fight and argue with Mrs. Ortiz or classmates about stupid things like, "Why are you yelling at me but not everyone else?" or asking why they have lunch detention when Mrs. Ortiz just explained. Mrs. Ortiz has to tell us our line spots because we are yelling by friends, pushing or questioning her choices. She has put up with a lot. She's left the class crying from August to December, 5 months worth of tears. She is the strongest teacher I know for that. She's a great teacher, and I am blessed for meeting her. P.S. I am a student of Mrs. Ortiz and always will be. Love, Elena Sophia Perry. And then I had a student come in this morning and brought me a Starbucks gift card and a letter from the parents that I'm going to share also. To whom it may concern, our son is currently a student at Summit View Elementary in Mrs. Ortiz's 5th grade classroom. This has been a challenging school year for both our son as a student and for us as parents. In our discussion with our son about how school went each day, he would mention not being able to finish lessons due to disruptive behavior. Our son enjoys school, is engaged, and looks forward to being challenged. This school year fell short of providing him with the experience we desired. We had discussions about moving him to a different school where he could be challenged, but decided against that after a parent-teacher conference with Mrs. Ortiz, where we discussed the classroom situation. In hindsight, we made a mistake. We didn't contact the principal. We didn't do so because we assumed Mrs. Ortiz and the other 5th grade teachers were being supported by Summit View Elementary administration. However, given that the entire group of 5th grade teachers is not returning, we assume this didn't occur. We are only parents with an outside view of the school, but from where we sit, it looks like the teachers are being scapegoated. Understand, we both have teaching experience at many levels, including subbing, preschool, secondary, college, university, and in professional schools. Neither of us has seen a situation wherein an entire grade of teachers left, but we know enough about schools to understand that this occurs when teachers lack support. Upon hearing the situation at Summit View Elementary led to teachers not being renewed and others leaving, there is only one bright spot of us. Our son will be in the West Valley Middle School next year. If he was entering 5th grade at Summit View Elementary School this fall, we would have a very difficult decision to make, but I doubt we'd be sending him back. Even though he is heading to the middle school in the fall, we will be more proactive in ensuring his teachers are able to teach him to his best ability. Given the current situation, we have serious concerns about whether this school and the school district is the right place for our son to reach his potential, and are making preliminary plans about where to enroll him if a similar situation occurs at the middle school. In the best schools, teachers and administration have the same goals and work together. It's pretty clear that didn't occur at Summit View Elementary this year. Regardless of who you want to blame, students deserved better, concerned parents. And I didn't necessarily have their permission to share the name, but I can share the letter. And then this is kind of our last put together document, I guess. But members of the board, we thank you for taking the time to read and look at all the evidence we have supplied you with since our non-renewal. We trust you to make the correct decision for us. Our jobs were unfairly taken. As it has been stated several times, was it legal to non-renew us? Yes. Was there any part about it that is right, justified, or truly in the best interest of West Valley School District, its staff, students, or families? We don't believe so. After the meeting where you graciously did not accept our resignations, we were under the impression that at the minimum, there would be an investigation. As of today, there has not been an appropriate, if any, investigation into the highly concerning information we provided. Along with no investigation, nothing has changed for the better. There are still violent behaviors and lack of support. It was reported by a 5th grade student that during breakfast, another student used a derogatory racial comment and pulled a knife on them. There was no communication in regards to this event to staff or families. The reporting student was emotionally distraught and wanted to call home. They told their teacher that the office wouldn't let them call, so this teacher let the student call their mom from the classroom. No information or follow-up was ever provided. The bullying at Summit View has continued. This includes having rocks thrown at a continuously targeted student's face, rocks large enough and thrown hard enough to leave a red mark about the size of a quarter for several hours. The students that did this are the same ones mentioned in our first document as well. One in particular is one of the students favored by Mrs. Lust. Other staff members referred to them as untouchable. While the lack of support has continued, so has the decline in our work environment. There was a repeat incident of Mrs. Lust not communicating with staff and believing what students reported without investigation. She went on to provide false information about a staff member to colleagues and parents.
Pardon me. I'm going to ask that you just give your testimony without referring to Mrs. Lust and disparaging remarks about her. You can talk about comments that you wish to make to the board, but I would encourage you not to speak directly about Mrs. Lust when she is not here to address the board on her behalf. That's not what the public comment period is about.
But I can't share what happened.
I'm requesting that you not disparage Mrs. Lust.
So maybe just leave out. Okay. Sorry, I lost my spot.
I apologize for interrupting.
I think you just finished. Okay. Oh, it's right here. Right here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't know how I can.
Yeah.
Well, since this has happened, go ahead. And I guess as far as lack of investigation, the reason we believe there's been no investigation is because our teammate hasn't been spoken to. And she's been a part of this entire year and has gone through all of this with us. I guess anybody that is directly involved in it that we know have not been spoken to. We have not been spoken to. So it's hard to understand how anything could have been investigated. But I don't know. Yeah. We just leave that part out and it was told to us. I don't know.
Comments had been made to parents that the problem with student behavior is the 5th grade teachers. And when we had spoken to the Human Resources Department, we were told, if people are going to believe lies, then that is on them for believing the lie. If they know you and how you are, they should know it isn't true. And we argue that that statement is extremely inappropriate when those words have come from a school administrator. We believe community members and staff look to their leader as someone that they can trust. When we're spoken of negatively, it does hurt our reputations. Okay?
So it was said that, so nothing could be done.
It was also said that nothing could be done because even if we were telling the truth, it was just hearsay. Again, we argue that had they spoken to other staff members or parents, it would easily be proven true. While professionally, we've never been treated so poorly, we are thankful we are able to spend the end of the year with our students. This whole painful experience has happened due to us advocating for students and for supports. If that is why we end up losing our jobs with the West Valley School District, then the district should be ashamed. We are proud and know we did nothing wrong. In fact, quite the opposite. We were trying to get support and fix things that are wrong. Both of our proficient observations refute the reasoning that was eventually provided for our non-renewals, reasonings that are vague and lack any evidence or documentation. Whereas our evaluations prove concrete examples and evidence to the contrary provided by our administrator. To avoid becoming repetitive, we'll stop here. Please remember, you, the board, have 10 days from this meeting to make up your mind. If you need time to investigate, please take it. If you are ready to right this wrong, we're ready to work and create a successful work and learning environment for teachers and students. We ask you to please give us our jobs back, to do what is right, to stand up for ourselves, to share this unjust truth, and to feel unheard and undervalued at every turn has been painful and exhausting. We need to see and believe that the West Valley School District does stand for students receiving a safe and fair public education. If not, the mission statement itself becomes false through the district being unable to model what it hopes to create in our current and future students. Thank you again for your time and consideration.
And I guess I just want to say, in sharing those things, my intention was not to say negative things. I understand how it is because it's a negative situation, but that was not my intention or my goal, and I hope you can believe that.
Okay. It's gotta be tough.
I'd like to thank everybody who offered public comment this evening and your heartfelt remarks. Is there anybody else that wishes to make a public comment at this time? I will close the public comment period. On to item 8 and item 8A, which is approval of minutes from our study session on May 23rd, school board meeting on May 23rd, and special school board meeting on May 31st. Well, obviously, Mr. Strong is still with us, so so we have approval of minutes. We can take those as a group, and I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I move to approve the minutes for the 23rd, 23rd, and 31st.
Thank you, Mr. Jager. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Mr. Strong votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. Next up, we have approval of travel requests. There are 5 of them. Dr. Finch, would you like to comment on these, please?
Yeah, I do apologize. A couple of those are previously taken, the Golf District to Wenatchee and the Golf State to Spokane. And we will work on making sure that those are pre-approved as per our policy. All others are pre-approved travel. Those are overnight trips with students. We have a cheer camp. We have Northwest Yearbook Workshop. And we have the Sheridan Crossover Classic. And that's in September.
Okay. Similar to the minutes, we can approve the travel requests, all 5 together. I'd entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Mr. Meyer makes a motion. Call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Oh, Mark. So, Mr. Strong, just to be, I moved a little bit quick. You're voting yes on the motion to approve the travel request, correct? Correct. Thank you, Mr. Strong. So the motion carries 5-0. Okay. Item 8C, approval of resignations, retirements, and separations. And there are 2 There are two matters on tonight's agenda, which is to approve the recommended non-renewal by Dr. Finch of Crystal Olden and Melissa Ortiz. Before we take further action, I just want to state a couple of remarks for the record. I will share the following due process procedures that were followed regarding the non-renewal of provisional employees. On May 10, the employees were notified in writing that their provisional teaching contracts would not be renewed. In this letter, they were notified of the opportunity to have an informal conference with the superintendent to request that the superintendent reconsider his decision. On May 19, the employees shared information with the board of directors via email. On May 25th, the employees met with the superintendent for the informal conference to request that the superintendent reconsider the non-renewal. On June 1st, the employees were notified in person in a conference with the superintendent that he was going to recommend non-renewal to the school board. On June 2nd, the employees were notified in writing that the superintendent recommended non-renewal to the school board. The employees were notified via email that they could submit to the superintendent written communication for the school board to consider prior to the board's decision. On June 9th, the employees shared additional information directly with the board of directors via email. And tonight, on June 13th, in addition to receiving additional public comment, the school board will vote on a recommendation from the superintendent as part of our responsibility. We have reviewed the superintendent's recommendation statements from the two employees and all records provided by the employees. And in addition, public comments that were received in a previous school board meeting and tonight, as well as other written materials as is mentioned just a second ago. As per the revised Code of Washington, Chapter 28A.405.220, paren 5, the decision of the Board of Directors to not renew the contract of a provisional employee shall be final and not subject to appeal. So with those introductory remarks, would the board like to have any other and further discussion on this matter? Or make any other remarks?
No.
It's
not going to be unanimous.
I want to just make Dr. Finch, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
No
Okay.
comments.
Anytime we take up I will say, just as a personal note, these meetings can seem very impersonal at times. And it's a difficult aspect when we're dealing with personnel matters, especially during the open public meeting. I understand that it's very personal to the employees involved, and I understand that. These are difficult decisions. That doesn't necessarily make the situation any better, but I can tell you, to a person on this school board, we take these matters very, very seriously, and the matters that pertain to our students very, very seriously. So regardless of the outcome of the vote, it is not taken lightly by the school board. So I don't think those are controversial comments, but I do feel the need to express that on behalf of the school board. So with that, would somebody like to make a motion on the non-renewal?
I move to approve the resignations of Crystal Golden and Melissa Ortiz.
So Mr. Jager, what's before the school board are not their resignations, but their recommended non-renewals by Dr. Finch.
I restate that they're recommended non-renewals for Crystal and Melissa.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jager. Mr. Strong, are you with us? Okay, there's just a slight delay, so I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Mr. Meyer?
I'll abstain.
Okay. The motion carries 4-0, one abstention. Item 9, action items, adoption of social studies instructional materials. Dr. Finch.
Okay, included was a memo from Stacy Drake, Assistant Superintendent. We've had the adoption year for social studies. We increased transparency this year by having 2 evening events where community members were able to review the materials. There was the Instructional Materials Committee meeting on May 22nd, and all materials were recommended for approval by unanimous vote from the Instructional Materials Committee. At this time, we recommend adoption of the social studies instructional materials, and we'll move forward with that adoption in the upcoming school year.
Thank you, Dr. Finch. I'd also like to thank administration for making a couple of parent nights available for review outside of the instructional committee's meeting, the undertaking that you did this spring. So thank you for that. I'll to entertain a motion for adoption of the social studies instructional materials.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Mokel. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you, Mr. Strong. The motion carries 5-0. Items arising. Hearing none. Mr. Strong, you have any items?
I don't I have Mr. Strong, you have any items? I will do it on the making to either place items arising board development. Dr. Finch and I met with the city manager about these items or issues, so I can put it under board reports and board development. I just wanted to share a little bit about our meeting.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I can put it under board reports, board development. I just wanted to share a little bit about our meeting. Okay, there's a slight delay. I'm going to try to keep the echo down here. Just a quick update. Peter and I met with Bob Harrison and one of the city engineers. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can, and I'll summarize for the audience in a second. Go ahead.
Okay. So essentially, there was some. I'll summarize for the audience in a second. Go ahead.
Mark, if you could mute, perhaps. Yeah. Do you have are you on a computer, Mark? Are you seeing the live stream on a computer? Okay. Yeah, we're almost to the end.
Yes, I'm. Yeah, I'm going to disconnect it. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Yes, I'm going to disconnect it. Let's see. Okay. All right. Can you hear me any better now?
Go ahead.
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to mention that we met with Bob Harrison and the city engineer that was basically does a lot of the planning for street improvement and road improvement. We talked specifically about some of the items that we would like to see on Zero Road. And I think, Peter, you can jump in here if I'm incorrect in anything, but I guess our primary focus was to try and get a sidewalk, a continuous sidewalk on the same side as the stadium going all the way down the length of Zero Road to the high school. And a crosswalk at the intersection, I think it's 80th and that sidewalk there. So they are going to look at that and evaluate it, put it on their schedule. The biggest takeaway that I got from it is at least we got in line. The biggest part of all of this was figuring out the financing, and they have a number of projects ahead of us, but somewhere we have to get in line, like airplanes on the landing strip. We just have to get there at some point to make sure that our project is considered and given the equal consideration along with a lot of other, competing priorities that the city has. I think we accomplished that. There probably will be some continued discussion, and they are going to get back to us with what's involved. And again, we stress again that this is not something that we are looking to finance or pay, but we're hoping that the city, along with the county, working with the county or the state, could somehow find some financing to make that road a lot safer than it currently is. So that's where we wound up at this point in time. The meeting took about an hour and a half or so, maybe an hour. And I think we made positive ground, at least got on their consideration schedule for future projects.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Strong. I think Peter or Dr. Finch read most of his superintendent's report already. Do you have anything else to add?
No, just the superintendent's report highlighted our awards from WASA, the Washington Association of School Administrators, and just appreciate again highlighting the work of the Innovation Center by having students and community members that are our community partners a part of that work. So that was great.
Okay. I probably should have just mentioned also in items arising. I can do that here now as a reminder. Next Tuesday, high school auditorium, high school library.
Right.
We will be having our public hearing on the use of the excess bond proceeds. Or the remaining bond proceeds rather. And so that'll be our public hearing at that time. And the following week, the board is scheduled to take action on the resolution for that matter. So that will be upcoming. Any other board reports or board development? Okay. So we had an adjustment to the agenda. And so item 13 will be an executive session for the performance of a public employee. This is continuation of our discussion during the study session. We'll call that 30 minutes coming out of executive session and adjourning the meeting with no further action taken. I took your sheet. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Okay. Are you ready for me to come back on? Okay. It is 8:48 and the school board is out of executive session taking no action and we are adjourned. Thank you.